start recording. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to this Wisdom Works live webinar. I'm Parishi Dua, the moderator for today, and I'm so glad you could all join us for this meaningful and important conversation. Today's session will be about mental health. We'll look at the pressures teens face, such as anxiety, self-doubt, and the need to fit in, and why those struggles often stay hidden. I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker, Alvira Diwan, a clinical and business psychologist who spent the last 8 years working with schools, universities, and organizations across the UAE and India. Her focus is helping young people and teams build real emotional resilience. Alvira brings a calm and deeply practical approach to conversations around mental health, and we're really glad to have her with us today. Just before we begin, a quick reminder to please keep your microphones muted throughout the session, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll get to them during the Q&A at the end. With that, let's finally get started. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Parishi. I'm so glad and honored to be here. And when I learned about this initiative and when I got to know the wonderful work that you're doing, I found it amazing, and I'm really glad that I'm a part of it because we cannot talk enough about teen mental health. And I feel the earlier you start working on yourself, on your mental and physical health or overall well-being, it becomes much more easier as you step into the adult world, you know. And I think you would agree with me when I say that there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a good time to start is now, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yes, thank you so much, Parishi. You were very kind and generous with the introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll
I
start with
welcome
my
everyone.
Sorry?
You were saying?
Yeah, I'll start with my first question, which
Sure.
is why do so many teens and young adults feel the need to hide their real emotions?
That's a wonderful question, right? And is there something about the title of the session which is very intrigued? Or anything that makes you curious? I'm asking everyone. So when we say behind a smile, and the idea about the whole session was it's very easy for us to smile and let go of everything. Okay. Um, when I am in a particular situation, if I want to show my real emotions, the idea that I'll have is people will ask me questions, right? Or I'll have to justify my emotions. If I'm feeling sad, why am I feeling sad? If I'm feeling angry, what happened, or what situation made me angry, right? If I'm feeling resentment, jealousy, I will have to justify what all feelings I went through to reach that, right? Instead, if I smile, it's easy. I get along with the day, right? No one will ask me why am I smiling. If I smile, it means I'm fine. Everything is good, and I can just go about with the day. So when we say behind the smile, what we want to discuss about today is the silent struggle. What we think, all of us, and if you think about you in a situation, you might be having um, anxiety or stress about a particular thing. You might be feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or just lost about a certain situation, but you'll just show up, you'll just smile through the way, because that is a lot more easier, right? But today's session is because we want every story to be heard. We want all of um, the teenagers and the young adults to realize that it's okay to feel a certain feeling or emotion, and it's okay to accept that, and you don't have to justify it to everyone. So feeling vulnerable is not a weakness, right? And coming to your question, yes, that is something that we are talking about today. What is the reason that we keep everything behind a smile? What triggers? So like I said, if I smile my way away, it's like I am not justifying myself, right? So learning that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's honesty. Hope that answers your question, Parishi.
Yes. And Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it ties to my next question. Sometimes people seem totally fine on the outside, they're struggling quietly. So, what are some early signs that someone or even ourselves might be struggling mentally, even if they appear fine on the outside?
That's a wonderful question. And that's a tricky one, right? Because we don't realize a lot happening around us. And that's the reason we say that we need to be kind to everyone because we don't know what they're going through mentally, physically, or emotionally, right? But when we talk about mental health, it's always silent. It's not loud. You cannot see the symptoms, right? Unless someone is aggressive, unless someone is shouting, unless someone is showing their emotions in a very loud manner. But apart from that, some of the and very visible signs would be when you think as an individual um, that you're not enjoying something you used to enjoy, right? When you ask yourself this thing, or when you talk to yourself and you're like, but what is happening with me? I used to love drawing. Why cannot I do it anymore? Or I used to love writing, but I just don't find myself, enough motivation to pick up my pen and write. Oh, I'm getting through a creator's block. Those are the kind of words that you use for yourself, and that means that you're either you're not enjoying something that you used to love, so there's a lack of interest. You might notice some change in your sleeping patterns. Earlier you used to sleep like a baby, but now you have thoughts while going to bed. You feel overwhelmed. You just cannot, switch off and just retire to sleep. You just have to have a lot of thoughts and things to do, or you have some you're just like panicking about the next day, or maybe your assignment, or maybe something that you have to get through, or your task, something like that. So that could be one thing as well. So these are some things that maybe you are irritable for no reason, and you have your parents or your friends telling you what's wrong with you. You never used to react in this manner. So there are certain like checklists, and those give you a thing like, I'm not feeling myself. I'm not being myself. So that is something that you need to start with. I'll give you a very practical tool for that. It's called the traffic light signal, the tool. And it means like you have to check in with yourself. How am I feeling and what I can do about it? Or what's going on with me, right? So if you say it's a green light means you're okay. You need to keep checking with yourself about how you're feeling every day. It's like a checklist that you do mentally for yourself. You don't have to do anything. It's just an emotional check-in that we can say. So maybe at night before going to bed, you can just check with yourself, what am I feeling right now? Am I overwhelmed? Okay, that's a red signal, right? If you're feeling okay, that would be a green signal. Yellow is you are overwhelmed. That's when you have to pause. You have to, reflect on what you can do to get better. But when you say it's a red, that you're feeling like extremely overwhelmed, you don't feel yourself, you don't feel okay, that's when you need help. And what do you do when you need help? You reach out to an expert. An expert in this case would be, so if I talk about teens and young adults, um, myself, like Parishi introduced me in the session, I work with a lot of universities as a mental health counselor. So all of these schools and universities have counselors in them. And the best thing that you can do is through your teacher or your academic professor, you can reach out to your counselor and see what's going on, have an initial check-in done with them. And if they feel like you still need professional help, they'll direct you towards someone who would do that for you.
Thank you for sharing that. I think the colored signal analogy was quite helpful for realizing when you need to reflect on how you're feeling.
I'm
So
glad.
once someone realizes they're not doing well, the next challenge is knowing what to do. So what are some healthy ways to cope when you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or mentally exhausted?
That's again a very good question, Parishi. And I really like the way you've put it into, now that you know that you need help, how do you take care of yourself, or you find that cure? So of course, like when we say physical health, it's very easy because you can diagnose, you can measure, you know what to do, you can take certain medicines. But what do you do for a mental health situation? Now, if for teens and young adults, if I tell them, oh, you have to look after your overall well-being, can you just try and meditate and calm yourself down? They're just gonna look at me like I'm crazy or I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? Because teens are usually like, very active and everything, and meditation and something is not something that works for them. So this is a tool that we can use for adults. But I'll give you another tool. It's called box breathing. So if you can try it right now, wherever you're sitting. And this is a tool that you can practice anywhere. So let's talk about a situation you're feeling very anxious and overwhelmed in your university. You're about to present, you're going about to go on the stage, and you're panicking, right? Happens with a lot of us. Before we have something big, we have a lot of thoughts in mind, and we're like, how we are going to face the crowd, and how do we deal with the the audience, and what if we do wrong, and so on, right? So just mute all of those thoughts, and box breathing is something that you can do. So what you do is, so box is like, that's the I wish I could show you the diagram, but okay. So you inhale and you pause for 4 seconds. Then you hold, pause for 4 seconds. Exhale, pause for 4 seconds, and then hold your breath. So that's how the diagram works. So this is something you can look into. It's very easily available. You can watch a YouTube video on box breathing. People can do it when they're stuck in traffic. You can do it before something, before you're saying something, doing something. You can just do it in the middle of the day when you're feeling overwhelmed. Just sit, relax, box breathe. You'll see how your nervous system calms down with that. So that's a way of resetting your nervous system. Okay. I'll talk about another tool which is very helpful. I had a session in the afternoon, and a student was telling me about it, that how wonderful she feels and how easy it is to let go of her emotions with that. So it's called the mind dump. It's a technique of journaling again. What you do is, not a fancy journal or anything. You can just have a paper and pen with you, a book or pen with you, and you write literally everything down, everything and anything that is overwhelming. All of your emotions does not make sense, it's completely fine, you can just write everything down. So what happens is, it's a when you say mind dump, you're literally taking everything and dumping it somewhere, right? That's the idea. So you don't have to filter, you don't have to make grammatical sense, you because it's for you, and it's you don't even have to read it again. That's the best part of it. But that's one very short way of letting go of your emotions. And something that I would tell all of the teenagers and young adults is to find what works for you. And how do you find that? You find that by exploring, right? So, in the situations when you feel overwhelmed, or in the situations when you feel you're not like yourself, or you need to have that mental break, see what kind of activities or adventures that you can do to have that perfect kind of a mental break, right? For some people, a digital detox works well. I used to do it a lot when I was, in my teen years and everything. I used to just keep my phone away in the wardrobe, literally wardrobe, so that I'm not even seeing it. I used to switch it off and keep it away for a week or so. And I used to feel so glad after the 1 week detox that I used to say. And then I used to post about it as well. So, yeah, that's the beauty of it. You do things, you brag about it, but you have to understand for yourself. It could be walking. Okay, so there's movement. If I again have to give you a self-care tip, I'll break it down to three things. So first would be movement. So you can take a walk. Walking always helps, movement always helps. If you're stuck somewhere, if you don't understand, if you're lagging, if you have a creative block, just get up. If you cannot work on your laptop, just shut it down, go take a walk, relax, come back, and then open it again. But if you just sit and you're like, I cannot work, I don't know what to do, then you're not, you will not be able to find a solution to that. Okay. So, first thing is movement. Second thing, and you can do stretches as well. Okay. You can do stretches, you can do some kind of guided meditation. Again, that helps if that's something that you're looking into. Second would be expression. Like I said, journaling, mind dumping, talking. You can talk to your friend, you can talk to your parents, you can talk to a professional. There's tons of things that you can do, right? Not necessarily talk about the particular situation, but talk about something so that you feel that you are letting go of those emotions. Okay. And the third thing would be taking a digital break. It could be screen time off, it could be shutting down certain applications which are overwhelming you because you're getting constant notifications, right? So, this is something that I would give you as a self care tip. It's a
Thank you.
self care, actually.
I
Yeah.
also personally think that having a digital detox and also journaling are such good techniques for regaining control over your emotions and reducing your stress. And
Good to know, Parishi. So, have you tried journaling yourself?
yeah, I used to do it. It
Oh,
actually
wonderful.
helps a lot.
That's amazing.
Um, and this leads into something that I think a lot of young people also deal with, which is social media, since it can be a huge source of pressure and like a big trigger for comparison and self-doubt. So what would you say to someone who constantly finds themselves comparing or feeling inferior online?
That's a wonderful question. But to answer this, first, I would want everyone who has joined us and you, Parishi, to reflect on this thought. It's not for me, it's not for you to answer to me, but I want you to take this thought with you. Um, will you post about your life honestly, or will you show the rosy, rosy part of your life? So just imagine this. You're sitting and crying. Are you gonna click your picture and are you gonna post it on Instagram saying hashtag feeling alone or I feel terrible or feeling at my lowest or something of that sort? Or are you gonna showcase all of your best part of your lives? You're traveling, you got a award, you got this for public speaking, you got that for something, or your parents gave you the latest iPhone, or you got this as a birthday gift and they got you your um you know um what do you say, the your list item or something of that sort. So this is something for you to reflect, for all of you. We never show our weakness, right? And social media ideally is not for that. So when we say we feel vulnerable, or we feel that constant pressure, or we feel that comparison when we see other people's post, you're doing the same thing. The timeline would be different, your ways would be different, of course. It all depends on everyone's personal situation and everything, but we're all doing the same thing, right? If I sometimes feel low, I'm not going to write a rant on social media. It's not going to help me, I know that. And I don't want to show my personal that part of my personality to everyone, because I know it's not going to help me in that manner, in any manner for that matter. But of course, I will show, oh, I took this session, oh, I was invited here as a speaker, I accomplished this in my profession, I've got this as an award, and everything, right? So, this is something that we all do, and we need to realize that what you see behind the scenes is your moment as well, right? Even you are happy some days and even you are sad some days. So I think that is something for all of us to reflect and understand, as an understanding that whatever you see on the social media might be the truth, but that's not the whole truth, or it's not the whole story, right? So instead of asking why not me, or why that person has something better, try to ask yourself, what is the best of my situation, right? And another very important thing which I tell all of my students while counseling is, whatever brings you negativity, or whatever, gives you that stress or that kind of comparison, or that kind of thing that you're lacking, just mute that. That's the beauty of social media. You can just block anyone and everyone that's getting you negativity, right? That's an option for us, right? So block that and follow that facilitates growth for you. I feel like social media is very beautiful. We don't just make the most of it. Of late, recently, when I had a transition in my life, I followed all of these Instagram influencers who had this get ready with me routine, and they were showing the entire day kind of vlogs, which were like reels. So just the highlights and everything. But I made a conscious decision that I'm not comparing my life to them, but I'm taking the best from theirs. So I am not a morning person, but I realize that I need to be, because obviously, and that's again one thing that I wanted to mention when we were talking about the coping things or self-care things. We don't really get the morning sunlight, which causes that anxiety and depression hormone in us. Of course, we do go to schools and colleges, but we are not getting it intentionally, right? And when I say morning, I'm saying the 6 to 7, the sunrise and the later sunrise kind of a stage. So that's very essential to give you that good mood hormone kind of a thing. So when I saw all of these people, I just, and I obviously, because I'm not a morning person, I cannot get up, get ready, and go out. So I took that first step and went on my terrace. That serves the purpose, right? So follow things that can motivate you, that can help you make better, and block anything that is giving you negativity or stress.
Yeah, I think it's so important to keep in mind that social media only shows the like perfectly curated snapshots of people's lives rather than the raw ones. So it's better to, rather than comparing yourself to them, it's better to get inspired by them.
That's so
Um,
true.
and also sometimes it's not just about what we go through, sometimes our friends are struggling too. So what would
Yeah.
you say, how can someone support a friend who might be going through a tough time mentally without overstepping or making it worse?
I think you're already there, Parishi. I think you've taken the first step of creating that awareness and helping people through your sessions and the work that you're doing. So, congratulations on that. But yeah, that's a wonderful thing to ask, because when you realize for yourself that helping yourself is so difficult, imagine, like, what it would be for you to help others. I think the first thing is understanding boundaries. If you are really close to someone, then you can take that first step. If you're still not, and like I'm talking about, if there's someone at a distance and you don't know what to do, then making them realize that you're there, that your presence is there, and asking them what you can do to help them in a better manner. I think that is something that we don't realize that we should be doing to have boundaries. So ask what you can do, and when we say we want to help, we want to listen, right? But we are very quick to judge, or we are very quick to respond in the manner that if you do this, this will happen, this can help you, just go and do this, or statements of these sort, which are more like giving solutions. But more often, when people say or you think that they need help, and that is again, the signs would be similar to yourself. You feel that your friend is not the same, you feel like they are not behaving in the same manner, you feel there are some characteral or behavioral changes in them, right? So these are the signs that you would be looking forward to. Someone who's very chirpy or smiles all the time is like dull, and doesn't feel like themselves. So these are some signs that you would want to see. But listen to understand. Just sometimes you just listen. You don't react or you don't respond, but just be there for them. I think that's the first step, and later on they can let you know how they want to be supported, or how they want to be helped. So just like asking someone that, I've been noticing you're very quiet or you're very dull these days, do you want to talk? Is there something I can do for you? Can we just sit and have a cup of coffee? When we say, can we sit and have a cup of coffee, that works in so many ways, and it's just underrated, I feel.
Yeah, listening and having conversations is such a simple thing, but it can have such a big impact on someone. I think it's
That
really
is
important. And
Yeah.
speaking of support, I think asking for help can feel really hard for people. So, why do you think we often feel guilty or weak when we reach out? And how can we start shifting that mindset?
I think we feel guilty because we're conditioned to understand it in that manner. We are conditioned, like whenever I ask for help, it means that I am weak. It means that I don't have that strength or that capability to overcome that situation. So I think the guilt mindset can come, or the mindset comes from conditioning. But when you make them feel that it's okay, when you are as a community, and I'm saying as a community, when you feel make them feel it's as you are accessible to talk anytime, or you're available to help them or guide them, I think that is something that would help others. Again, one thing that I would like to tell teenagers is, so most of you might be in sports, right? And you will have coaches, or you will like, or if even if you're not in sports, you might have seen athletes who are in sports, right? So they have coaches, and what coaches do is facilitate, right? So they are helping them in becoming better, in yeah, understanding the technique and then going forward, right? Even professionals have mentors. Even in the workplace, you'll have coaches, right? Who are helping them navigate their workplace or workplace situation, or interpersonal skills, resilience, and so on. So, understanding and letting people know that help is not a burden, but it's a bridge to facilitate what's going on wrong in the life. And that's the reason we need professionals, and that's the reason we go to counselors and coaches, so that wherever we are stuck, we take their help and we move forward. We have someone accountable for that. Hope that answers your question, Parishi.
Yeah, it does. It's really important to reach out and ask for help without feeling um, weak or as taking it as a sign of weakness. So before we wrap up, if there's one message you could leave with every teen and young adult watching this, what would it be?
I would like to tell everyone who's watching this and all of the teens that your feelings are valid. Your struggle is real. Even if you cannot justify it, even if you cannot explain how you're feeling or why you're feeling in a certain manner, it's real, right? And you matter. You, even on the days when you feel that you're not enough for the world, you're still there and you're very important. So, behind, and just to sum everything up, when we say behind a beautiful smile that we bring, there is a story. And if you can find someone who is, trustworthy, who you have confidence in, share your story with them. That becomes your strength. And as long as you have the faith that you can work on yourself, everything goes on. Your grades are temporary. What subjects you choose are temporary. You can still change those, but your mental health, your family, and your friends are something that stay permanent. So I think working on those is important.
Thank you so much, Alvira, for the valuable information you've shared today. I think it was such a meaningful conversation, and a lot of us needed to hear that it's okay to stop pretending everything's fine and that struggling doesn't mean something's wrong with you. And you've given us a lot to reflect on, especially around recognizing what we feel and being honest with ourselves. So I'm sure our audience has some questions for you, so let's get right into it. As we move to the Q&A part of the webinar, please type your questions into the chat if you haven't already, and I'll go through them. We'll try to cover as many as we can in the time we have. We received a couple of good questions from the chat. One of them was, what role do you think mental health will play in your future success?
Oh, very important. Like I, mentioned earlier as well. And as you said, Parishi, I've worked with children a lot. I've actually started with children because I was very interested in child psychology. And I understood the problem that children have has a lot to do with their environment and their the parenting style of their parents, and, the kind of teachers they have in the early years of their life, because that's the foundation years, as we say. So I always feel like the better and that's true, right? Even when we talk about anything else in life, the better or the stronger the foundation, the better uh, the organization, right? The structure. So When we say future, and talking about like dealing with our mental health at an early stage, as you grow older, you'll have more and more. Today, your struggles are trying to communicate with your parents, understanding yourself, understanding your ambitions, or understanding what do you want to do in your future, dealing with your friends or relationships and so on. But tomorrow, again, it will be your office, your colleagues, the workplace situation, how to navigate adult life. You will be independent, so you'll have to take care of your own expenses and so on. So it will just grow. So if you are mentally stable today, if you understand your strengths and weaknesses, if you are resilient, emotionally resilient, it becomes very easier as an adult to navigate through life. Of course, there will be problems, but it will not be as hard enough if you have to deal with past trauma as well. Right? So healing at an early stage is important. I think that's why mental health is very important in our future success as well.
Thank you. Another question from the chat that came up was, what's one thing you think one could change in the world when it comes to mental health?
I think being more acceptable. When we talk about mental health, if it's us or someone at close to us, we are empathetic. But when it comes to others or in the world around, we are judgmental. If we start being acceptable, if we are not judgmental as a society, I think it would be very easier for everyone else to work on their mental health and to ask for help when they need it the most.
Thank you for answering the questions from the chat. I think
Thank
that
you.
was it. We didn't get any more questions. So I think with that, we've come to the end of today's webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Alvira, for being here with us today and sharing your time and expertise. We really appreciate you being here. If you'd like to attend more webinars like this, please make sure to sign up for our upcoming sessions. I hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Parishi. You were wonderful too. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You can stop the recording.